Next, Sutta 15.3, Buddha said in Savatthi, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. The first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. What do you think, monks? Which is more, the stream of tears that you have shed as you roamed and wandered on through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this or the water in the four great oceans? These four great oceans, I guess, refers to the big ocean in the heavens. And the disciples said, as we understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, the stream of tears that we have shed as we roamed and wandered through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this alone is more than the waters of the four great oceans. Good monks, it is good that you understand the Dhamma taught by me in such a way. The stream of tears that you have shed as you roamed and wandered through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this alone is more than the waters in the four great oceans. For a long time, monks, you have experienced the death of a mother. As you have experienced this, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, the stream of tears that you have shed is more than the waters of the four great oceans. For a long time, monks, you have experienced the death of a father, or the death of a brother, or a sister, or a son, or a daughter, the loss of relatives, the loss of wealth, loss through illness. As you have experienced this weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, the stream of tears that you have shed is more than the waters in the four great oceans. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is enough to experience revulsion towards all volitions, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. It's the end of this sutta. So, there have been a lot of reasons for us to cry. Sometimes because of the death of some relative, sometimes because we lose our property, because we did something wrong, we were tortured by the king, tortured by soldiers, tortured by enemies, and you cried and cried. And or you have been sick, and the sickness so painful made you cry. So all these many reasons for us to cry, and we have cried so much. It's more than the waters in the oceans. But the thing about this Mara is very strong. Sometimes when we suffer, we feel so disgusted. For many people, they say want to give up everything, want to practice the holy life. But Mara will tempt us, and then very soon we forgot about our suffering already. There are things to enjoy, and we start laughing, and we forgot about our sorrow. Just like sometimes some man, the wife passes away, he feels so dejected, almost wants to commit suicide. Later he becomes attracted to some other lady and gets married and forgot all about his sorrow already. It's very common. So that's why the Buddha says Mara is very strong, and Mara also says you cannot escape from me. So that's why we cry so much, and yet every time we come back and still want to enjoy the world. .13 At Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, then 30 monks from Pava approached the Blessed One, all forest dwellers, alms food eaters, rag rope wearers, triple rope users, yet all were still with fetters. Stop here for a moment. These 30 monks, if I'm not mistaken, this story I think is found in the Vinaya or somewhere. About these 30 monks, they are all very ascetic monks. They dwell in the forest, they only beg for their food, and they wear rag ropes. And they use only one set of ropes. It's called the triple rope. Triple rope refers to only one set of ropes. And if I'm not mistaken, in the Vinaya books it says they had come a long way. They wanted to see the Buddha. And then the rain season was coming. So they hurried, but they could, because they walked from so far to come and see the Buddha. In those days in India they have to walk. So when the rain season started, they had not yet arrived at the Buddha's place. So they had to be content to stay in some place and spend the 3 months vasa, rains retreat period there. So immediately after the rains retreat ended, they came to see the Buddha. So during the rains, they were longing to see the Buddha because probably either they have not seen the Buddha before or they haven't seen the Buddha for a long time. And these were all good monks, but they were still with fetters, meaning they have not attained arahanthood. Having approached, they paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down to one side. Then it occurred to the Blessed One, these 30 monks from Pava are all forest dwellers, alms food eaters, rag robe wearers, triple robe users, yet all are still with fetters. Let me teach them the Dhamma in such a way that while they are sitting in these very seats, their minds will be liberated from the taints by non-clinging. So the Buddha pitied them, and since they had come so far away to see the Buddha appreciated them also because they are such ascetic monks. The Buddha very much appreciated ascetic monks because he himself was very ascetic. So he thought he wanted to help them to attain arahanthood. Then the Blessed One addressed those monks thus, monks, Venerable Sir, those monks replied, the Blessed One said this, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. The first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. What do you think, monks, which is more, the stream of blood that you have shed, while when you were beheaded as you roamed and wandered on through this long course, this or the waters in the 4 great oceans? As we understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, the stream of blood that we have shed when we were beheaded as we roamed and wandered on through this long course, this alone is more than the waters in the 4 great oceans. Good monks, it is good that you understand the Dhamma taught by me in such a way. The stream of blood that you have shed when you were beheaded as you roamed and wandered on through this long course, this alone is more than the waters in the 4 great oceans. For a long time, monks, you have been cows, and when as cows you were beheaded, the stream of blood that you shed is greater than the waters in the 4 great oceans. For a long time you have been buffalo, sheep, goats, deer, chickens and pigs. For a long time you have been arrested as burglars, highwaymen and adulterers. And when you were beheaded, the stream of blood that you shed is greater than the waters in the 4 great oceans. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is enough to be liberated from them. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, those monks delighted in the Blessed One's statement. And while this exposition was being spoken, the minds of the 30 monks from Pava were liberated from the taints or asavas by non-clinging. So when the monks realized that we have been in samsara for so long, our blood we have shed so much that they experienced revulsion, dispassion, and they just let go of their clinging and became arahants. 15.14 until 19, the Buddha said, Savati, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is not easy, monks, to find a being who in this long course has not previously been your mother, or your father, or your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is enough to be liberated from them. Here, these few suttas, the Buddha says, it's very difficult to meet some being who has not previously been related to us in some way. Even the dogs and the animals and all other persons that we meet, even devas and devis and ghosts, we meet them also, all have been related to us. Very difficult to find a being who has not been related to us. So because of this, you should consider sometimes we are angry with somebody. Should try to realize that we have all been related before, and Try to be kind to everybody.
Now the next sutta is 4.4.33. The Buddha said, monks, the lion, king of beasts, in the evening comes forth from his lair. Having come forth from his lair, he stretches himself. Having done so, he surveys the four quarters in all directions. Having done that, he utters thrice his lion's roar. Thrice having uttered his lion's roar, he sallies forth in search of prey. Now monks, whatsoever brute creatures hear the sound of the roaring of the lion, king of beasts, for the most part they are afraid. They fall to quaking and trembling. Those that dwell in holes seek them. Water dwellers make for the water. Forest dwellers enter the forest. Birds mount into the air. Then monks, whatsoever Raja's elephants in village, town or Raja's residence are tethered with stout leather bonds, such burst and rend those bonds asunder, void their excrements, and in panic run to and fro. Thus potent monks is the lion, king of beasts, over brute creatures. Of such mighty power and majesty is he. Just so monks, when a Tathagata arises in the world, an Arahant, a perfectly enlightened one, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well-farer, a world-knower, the unsurpassed trainer of men who can be trained, teacher of devas and mankind, a Buddha, an exalted one. He teaches Dhamma. Such is the being in the body, such the origin of the being in the body, such is the ending of the being in the body, such is the practice going to end of the being in the body. Then monks, whatsoever devas there be, long-lived, lovely, and become happy, for a long time established in lofty palaces, they too, on hearing the Dhamma teaching of the Tathagata, for the most part are afraid. They fall to quaking and trembling, saying, "It seems, sirs, that we who thought ourselves permanent are after all impermanent, that we who thought ourselves stable are after all unstable. Not to last, sirs, it seems, are we, and lasting we thought ourselves. So it seems, sirs, that we are impermanent, unstable, not to last, compassed with a being in the body. Thus potent monks is a Tathagata over the world of devas and mankind. Of such mighty power and majesty is he." And this sutta is comparing the lion, the king of the beasts, with the Buddha. Among all the animals, the lion is the chief, so that even when he roars, even such a huge creature that like the elephant will panic, avoid their excrements and burst their bonds, try to run away. So in the same way, when the Buddha teaches the Dhamma, there are these devas, heavenly beings, who have very long lives, millions of years. And even though they live for millions of years, they never age. They look like a 16-year-old man or a 16-year-old boy or a 16-year-old girl. And after millions of years, they still look 16 years old. So they never imagine that they're going to die. And because their life is so blissful and happy, and they just assume that they are not going to die. But after hearing the Dhamma and after observing the Buddha, then they realize that the Buddha is one who speaks the truth, never speaks a lie. So then they realize that they are going to die one day, and then they get scared. There's some other suttas which explain when a deva, heavenly being, is about to die, when he realizes he's about to die, he gets very worried. Thoughts run very fast, very panicky. He starts to sweat. Formerly he didn't have any body odor, he starts to have body odor. Formerly he used to have flowers on the head. Naturally the flowers will wilt and all that. So when he passes away, the body just disappears. Just like when he's born in the heaven, the body suddenly appears. Doesn't have to go through a 9-month period like human beings in the womb. Now, the other thing that's mentioned here, the being in the body, sakaya, There's normally all beings, we have a view that there is a self in the body. We attach the body. We have attachment to this body, and we take it to be the self. Then, as we progress along the spiritual path, then we come to a state when we realize that the body is not the self. But then we still cling to the mind as the self, and eventually we still have to let go of the mind.